finance minister to spend on things that we all know deserve some funding. Right from the beginning, we were told the cathedral is not going to be funded with public money or state money. People were going to make donations. Fundraising efforts were going to be intensified to raise money for it. So it is quite surprising that the finance minister will find it tenable that in the course of its construction, he dips his hand into public money, whether it's contingency vote or contingency fund, that doesn't matter. So it's for me an explanation that still doesn't wash. And like you said, certainly one wouldn't expect that he will come there and condemn himself as incompetent and somebody who has really run our economy into the ditch. So we look forward to what the recommendations of the committee will be and the ultimate debate in Parliament.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Brima. Another interesting story on page 13, Sanitation, Justice Ministry's planned prosecution of sanitation offenders. Benjamin, Mr. Brima. So the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources is collaborating with the Ministry of Justice and Attorney General to set aside specific dates for the trial of sanitation cases, which include construction of toilets. We also collaborate with the local government to enforce the bylaws requiring every household to have a decent toilet facility. It has therefore urged all households in the country to have a decent toilet facility in their homes to avoid being dragged to the law courts. According to the ministry, about 18% of Ghanaians were still indulged in open defecation, and we really need to do something about this as a country, I quote. We'll pursue aggressively the One House, One Toilet initiative to ensure households get decent toilets in their homes, and will prosecute offenders. And then we also have one person, very sad story there, one person confirmed dead in the fatal crash at Poroso. I'm not sure, those pictures or those images were extremely upsetting, but we know that one person was confirmed dead with 4 others injured in a fatal crash involving a truck and 5 other vehicles in the Prestea Honey Valley municipality of the Western region. The last story that I'll go to is Professor Quist passes on at 78. A former finance minister of finance, Professor Quist has passed on at the age of 78. He reportedly died on Saturday at the Kolobu Teaching Hospital in Accra, where he was receiving treatment over a short illness. Now, some facts on Professor. He's the longest serving Minister of Finance in Ghana, having served as Secretary of Finance during the PNDC military government from 1982 to 1993. He was also appointed by the late Jerry John Rawlings to lead efforts in stabilizing the country's collapsed economy from 1982 to 1993. His leadership and commitment to the structural changes to our economy in the late 80s were critical, and the impact still with us today. That's a member of the ruling New Party, Gabby Asare Ocheredako, who said that. So the Sanitation Ministry to prosecute some people who would default to that law. They say that one household, one toilet. What are your thoughts on that? And I mean, you also saw that accident that happened at Boroso. Do you have any thoughts? And the last story, Professor Kwesi Boache, who passes on at 78, the longest serving finance minister. Mr. Brima, any thoughts on the stories shared so far?
Well, let me start with the very sad developments. I read about the incident in Bogoso, and it's certainly a very, very sad development. Of course, an accident. We wish such things would not happen, but once they happen, what we have to do is to learn lessons from it and to see how we can avoid incidents like that in the future. And so our sincere condolences to the family of the bereaved, and we're hoping that proper investigations will be conducted so that if somebody was reckless, that then resulted in what had happened, such persons can be taken on. But apart from that, also learning whatever lessons that we can learn from that to prevent future occurrences. Of course, the passing of Professor Kwesi Boache is another very, very sad development for our nation. Kwesi Boache is an iconic figure. Growing up and listening to him on GBC, read the budget statement annually, even though as a child, I can still remember, how people would expect, is there going to be petrol increases? Is there going to be lorry fare increases? Is there going to be increases in salaries? Because those days, all those things were reflected in the budget. It's not like today where the situation is such that you wake up in the morning and GPRT says, they are increasing the lorry fares on Saturday or on Sunday, or the current situation where you are told, in the next pricing window, fuel prices are going to increase or decrease marginally.
Yeah.
And so he's played a very instrumental role in our national development. At one point, tried to lead the National Democratic Congress as a flag bearer. It didn't work, but nonetheless, within his party and at the national level, he's really played a very significant role. And I believe we would all pick some lessons and, be guided by some of the things that he did whilst he was alive, so that we also will be celebrated in our lives and even after our lives. So commiserations to his family. Sanitation, a big thing in our country. We've always been talking about it. The current government said Accra was going to be the cleanest city in Africa. We are nowhere close to that. Governments upon governments, efforts are made, but it appears we are where we are because government itself doesn't act properly, and citizens are also continuing their misconduct of polluting everywhere. I don't know, for example, why as a country we still indulge in this whole exercise of using polythenes for everything, from sachet water to black polythene bags to everything is about polythene. Kenya, Gambia, other countries have managed to ban the use of polythene just as a way of cleaning the environment. But in our country, the government would always want to pursue the cheapest way and pursue the most vulnerable to show that it is doing something, rather than the big policy initiatives that have to be undertaken to ensure that these menaces are dealt with. So without people being educated, people being motivated not to do some of the things they do, you can arrest everybody, prosecute everybody, but there will be little change.
There'll be little change. The last one I want to touch on is the World Cup. Did you catch the opening ceremony, and how was it?
Unfortunately, I didn't. I just had a little bit of time watching the game itself. And certainly from the pictures, you could see this was such a beautiful facility, and it's quite enticing. I just wish our Black Stars all the best in this endeavor, and we hope that they do better than we've done in previous competitions.
Definitely.
Right, Suleimana, let's quickly get into the Daily Graphic newspaper. Quintessential statesman, politician, tributes pour in for Professor Quist. There's already been talk about him and his sad demise in the Ghanaian Times newspaper. There's a picture of them that is trending. And when I say them, I'm referring to P.V. Obeng, who has met his maker, then former President Rawlings, who has also been called to eternity, and now Professor Quist. And they fall in line from right to left, almost as though, like some have suggested on social media, that they knew the order in which they would go. But a sad situation, a big blow to our country. There's also, I've been honest in fiscal reporting, Ken Ofori-Atta defends stewardship. 2022 World Cup kicks off. Senegal play today. On the back page, there's a picture of Koulibaly. I'll get into some details of that. But some quick stories to take a look at. Use of Ghana card for voting. NIA EC system integration on course. That's according to head of the NIA, Professor Atefua. And he says that the two institutions have begun high-level discussions to create an integrated system for identifying registered voters and registering qualified individuals who turn 18 years ahead of the 2024 elections. The two are currently drafting a memorandum of understanding, among other initiatives, to guide the effective operationalization of their systems to interface for purposes of data validation and so on. The executive secretary of the NIA, Professor Atefua, confirmed this at a press conference, a press soiree in Accra last Friday. We also know that a deputy chairperson of the EC, I'm talking about Dr. Eric Bosman Asari, at a multi-stakeholder forum organized by the National Peace Council in Accra last Tuesday, also spoke about the collaboration to ensure that no eligible voter was disenfranchised. That is the first story I'll take a look at. There's also a letter on page 10 of the paper, Ghana and Galamsey, the presidential powers. And it makes for interesting reading. It's on page 10 of the paper. You can check it out. But I'll just do some international stories and wrap with sports, and I'll bring you in Suleimana. Equatorial Guineans vote in national elections. We all know Teodoro Obiang Nguema Mbasogo has been in power for quite a long time. He arrived at a polling station in the capital, Malabo, yesterday to cast his vote. He's 80 years. He's been in power for 43 years. And it's only certain that when he leaves, those around him, his children and others, will take over from there. Some have called this a very sad situation in Equatorial Guinea. And at 80, having ruled for 43 years, he wants another 7-year term. I was listening to the BBC this morning, and a reporter from Equatorial Guinea called all of this a big sham and a shame. That is one of the stories there. On the back page, when we talk about Senegal facing off with the Netherlands, the fact is, Senegal and the Netherlands have never played together at the World Cup. This would be the first time. When Senegal qualified in 2002 and 2018, the Netherlands did not make it. But this time they're going to lock horns. And the other bit is that the Netherlands have the record. They've won 3, drawn 1, and lost none against African opposition. And when you look at the record of Senegal, they've won 3, drawn 3, and lost 2. All the wins against European opposition at the World Cup. Quick reactions, Suleimana?
Well, I can only wish Senegal the very best. They are the reigning African champions, and so we naturally should expect them to be one of our torchbearers among the teams that are participating from Africa. And of course, Senegal is also here in West Africa. It's a country that we cover. And I should say that my boss, the chairperson of the Media Foundation for West Africa, is a Senegalese based in Senegal. And so naturally, I feel some sort of allegiance and sentiments towards Senegal. And so I can only wish them well and pray that they are able to overcome the challenge this afternoon or this evening. Of course, the Netherlands has traditionally been a very strong team. And so one can only be very, very hopeful that they are able to get a good scoreline, if not a win, at least a draw. Best wishes to Senegal.
There's also the bit about the NIA card, EC integration, and then Equatorial Guinea elections.
Well, Equatorial Guinea, we know the track record. The man has been in power perhaps since I was born, and still being in power. Some of these things you ask yourself, what is the AU's position? The African Union talking about is, protocol on good governance, on elections and anti-corruption, all the other protocols that they have, and Agenda 2063, good governance, the empowerment of our people on the continent. What is the position of the AU? If somebody were to oust Teodoro Obiang as being, engaging in undemocratic conduct, would the AU then react with deployment of military force and a ban imposed on the country, or what? I'm not in any way then saying that these things should justify any military intervention, but I'm just saying that leadership on the continent must act in ways that really support the cause of the people and not the cause of individual leaders. On the NIA, let me say that I have found the conduct of the current leadership of the Electoral Commission very, very appalling. And I say so because over the period, they have patently failed in building national consensus on matters that are very, very crucial to the elections of this country and therefore the integrity of our democracy and the survival of our democracy. It happened in the last elections. a few months or so before elections, changes were made in terms of how people can register, a new register, the qualifications to be on the register in terms of what cards you must have and all of that, despite the challenges that people had at the time with, acquiring the NIA cards. Now, we are barely 2 years from the next elections, and I should say even 1.5, because the electoral processes and the campaigns and all of that gets so heated about 6 months into the elections. And you don't want to make any significant decisions 6 months into an election, as happened in the previous one. Now, this is such a major development. If the NIA cards are supposed to be used as the basis for elections, it requires a lot of national conversation. And if that is the decision that has been made, why are we not seeing a lot of national dialogues, public engagement, stakeholder engagement, and getting stakeholder feedback? What should the EC be doing? How should it be doing? How do we build public confidence to ensure that, look, this government is the government in power. It is within this government that we have been successful with the implementation of the NIA processes. And therefore, the natural tendency for people to believe that, is the government having anything to hide? Do they want to use the NIA database to manipulate an election or something, that could be suspicious? It is important that we engage to erase any sort of perceptions like that away from the people as a way of building confidence towards the election, ensuring electoral integrity, all of that. But we are seeing literally nothing of that. All we hear is that a press soiree is being organized and announcement is made. A stakeholder engagement is being held by the National Peace Council, right. And then we are told what is going to happen. I don't think that is how electoral processes should be managed, particularly in countries or in places like African countries where there's always agitation and contention on matters of elections. And that is why I say, look, the EC has certainly been very, very appalling. And I'm surprised also because of the leadership that we have at the EC.
Well, let's quickly get into other stories, Mapito.
All right, let's go to the Finder. It will be a tragedy not to use Ghana card to vote in 2024 from Professor Atufo. And we also have we have Black Stars player, technical team signed code of conduct to avoid Brazil debacle. But on page 2, the Asante is urging the judicial service and he's asking them to strengthen the use of technology in justice delivery. He said using modern technology at all levels would help to reduce cost, increase access to justice delivery, enhance transparency, and reinforce the trust of the public in the judicial system. Atumfo Setutu II said the COVID-19 pandemic and its accompanying social limitations had challenged society to find new ways such as technological advancements to address the myriad of challenges. So the ideals of transparency, accountability and trust were vital drivers of sustained progress and development of the judiciary, an important constitutional institution to aid good governance where technology was crucial. We also have a very interesting story here on page, okay, I can't find it now. So page 9, just the second one. Executive Secretary of the National Identification Authority, Professor Kenneth Tufo, says it will be a tragedy not to use Ghana card for election 2024. He's convinced that there's no reasonable basis for that not to happen. And he said the EC has submitted a constitutional instrument to Parliament seeking to use Ghana card to compile the new voters register. According to the electoral management body, the Ghana card is the most authentic means of identifying Ghanaians, and therefore the Commission's decision to use it in compiling a new database of voters for election 2024. Professor Atofua assured that the NIA is poised to clear all backlogs and register new people if the Ghana card will be used for the 2024 general election. And then we have the last story. 1.1 million Ghanaian males jobless in second quarter of 2022. Data released by the Ghana Statistical Services indicates that about 1.1 million males 15 years and older employed in the first quarter of the year were either unemployed or out of the labor force in the second quarter. So in percentage terms, the service said 9.4% of the employed males in the first quarter were unemployed. Okay, so let me take that again. In percentage terms, the service said 9.4% of the employed males in the first quarter were unemployed in the second quarter, with an additional 15.7% outside of the labor force. The statistics were generated from the 2022 Annual Household Income and Expenditure Service. Now, in the Upper East region, 7 out of every 10, which is 69.0% males employed in the first quarter, were no longer employed in the second quarter. I think that is quite worrying, Benjamin, and that's like when you see like the rise in suicide, especially with males, is that some of these males have to provide for their families, and now they can't provide for their families because they are unemployed, and then the pressure just keeps on getting worse, and then you know the case of suicide, the rates, suicide rates start increasing, violence starts increasing. So I think this is something very worrying.
It is indeed worrying. And even before Suleimana comes in the Upper East region, right, 7 out of every 10 males were unemployed, who were employed in the first quarter, lost their work in the second quarter. And these are not things that you can take for granted. Over 1 million males, we're not even talking females, losing their work. It also talks about youth unemployment and all of that. I mean, when you look at the statistics from the Ghana Statistical Service, it's heartbreaking, really. And you also look at what some people in the second quarter were earning. Okay?
Yeah.
We know the minimum wage is 13.53. As of January next year, it will shoot up to 14.88, about a 10% increment.
Yeah.
But you're looking at people earning as low as 9 cedis, 90 pesos, less than 10 cedis. So it paints quite a gory picture about the economic downturn and where it has pushed some people.
Yeah.
You know, millions of people. And this also reflects other reports. I've forgotten whether it was the IMF or the World Bank that said that over 1 million Ghanaians had slipped into poverty, below the poverty line.
Yeah.
You know?
I saw that.
So all of this now starts making a lot of sense. But to you, Suleimana Brahima, how do you digest all of this?
Very, very depressing statistics, but it is something that we certainly are aware of, even without the statistics. And I believe that these are the indicators that should make the finance minister and the managers of our country be feeling depressed in their hearts and in their souls, and feel that professionally they've not done what it takes to really get this country going. If you have a situation where you have 7 out of 10 people who ought to be doing some jobs are unemployed, and in fact, those who had jobs in the first quarter are losing those job opportunities in the second quarter, certainly that is very, very troubling, and that is certainly not an indicator of progress. It's actually an indicator of retrogression. Right. If you know, we have created the National Youth Employment Agency, but it is actually an agency to make people rich than to create jobs for people, as the name suggests. Over the years, it's been an agency where deals are made, people loot from state resources rather than using it to create employment for our people. We know this government introduced this propaganda employment scheme called NAPCO, and within a matter of a year or two, it ceased to work, and quite clearly it was introduced for purposes of elections. So they are comfortable using the people and dumping them once they achieve their objectives. And that is why we as the people in this country must continue to demand that the governments that we elect do the right thing rather than continuing to loot from the state and resorting to technicalities to absolve themselves of incompetence and malpractices. It's a sad, what can we do?
Suleimana, we have just about 3 minutes. For me, I'll squeeze in 2 papers very quickly because the stories are tied. Ghana will rise again, Finance Minister, strengthen fight against terrorism, that is the National Security Minister, and the story there, Quist dead, the Daily Guide. But there's also in the Ghanaian publisher, blanket-free SHS, unsustainable, Professor Ivan Adai-Mensah, a former Vice-Chancellor of the University of Ghana, and NIA boss, wife sue ex-staff for defamation. The stories, though, that I want to link from the two papers. The Daily Guide says, let Oforiatta read budget. Esibe Yeboah, I believe the former head of the Finance Committee of Parliament, begs MPs. And tied to that, the Ghanaian publisher, Finance Minister confounds his critics. What do you think about the charge by Dr. Esibe Yeboah? Let Oforiatta read budget as he begs, and the Finance Minister confounds his critics, according to the Ghanaian publisher. Is that the picture you got from last Friday?
Absolutely not. I certainly saw more revelations about why we are where we are, rather than, something that reflects the competence of the finance minister. I said on Newsfile over the weekend that indeed I admire his calm demeanor and the way he presents things, but that is different from being convinced about his competence and the credibility of whatever he put out there. And that is why I am surprised that the respected former chair of the Finance Committee would at this stage be urging that we should let Oforiatta present the budget. Why? What is the problem? Is he the only person who can, handle the finance ministry?
It's interesting because Dr. Esibe Yeboah's name has also popped up when it comes to who could be a finance minister moving into the future.
Well, he's somebody that a lot of people respect. If you talk to people in Parliament, he will tell you, look, we needed somebody like Esibe Yeboah to be the chair of the Finance Committee in Parliament and to carry all of us along. He's deep in terms of knowledge in the economy and economics and all of that. Unfortunately, the same government, it is actually this same leadership of President Akufo-Addo that actually orchestrated the exit of Esibe Yeboah. It is not a secret. Everyone knows that there was that orchestration to get him out and to have his replacement win the primaries to contest, because they felt, well, Esibe Yeboah was not playing ball. It is something that is not a secret. And so we hear the finance minister say Ghana will rise again. Certainly, we all believe and know that Ghana will rise again, but not with him at the helm of affairs. If with him at the helm of affairs, Ghana would certainly not be rising. But we believe that he would exit because he cannot continue to be there when almost the entire nation says, look, you must go even if you are our best player. We don't want you at this stage. And right. I'm confident that without him, Ghana will rise again.
Ghana will rise again. Mr. Brahma, it is always a pleasure having you. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your week and have a fantastic, fantastic day.
Thank you so much, Maps. Thank you, Ben.
Maybe before you go, do you have any predictions for the Black Stars as they lock horns with Portugal? Any predictions?
Well, I can only say that I pray and hope that we win. To be honest with you, it is out of nationalistic spirit of patriotism, that I would think that the Black Stars can defeat Portugal. But it is possible. I'm sure with the sheer determination and the exuberance of confidence that we witnessed, anything is possible. And I hope that we would overcome them.
Okie doke.
The Black Stars, eh?
The Black Stars could.
That disappoint.
They could surprise us all. But come to think of it, they are signing some, like you said, so that we don't have a repeat of 2014 where they were asking for money and all of that, the entire hullabaloo and money being, flown to them. But if you look at the $100,000 that each of the team, including the technical staff and others, are going to get, Charlie, that's like 1.5 million Ghana cedis. Because it's 15:1. Hey, someday we'll get there. We go play football by thunder, by fire.
Oh, sharp. But you, dear, it's too late. Your age.
It's too late.
And I will go.
I'll use my football age.
You use your football age.
Yeah, I'm 22.
Have to cut the beard and shave the beard and Charlie.
It will happen. Anyway, we're grateful, Suleimana, for joining the conversation. But up next, we have sports coming your way. And of course, the World Cup has kicked off. What can you expect moving forward? More on that in sports. Do stay.
Charlie, dreams come true. Just a while back, movement was not easy at all. But today, I did drive my own car. All thanks to the amazing EcoBank Auto Finance package. See, I heard the ad on the radio and did exactly as it said. I found one of EcoBank's car partners and spotted the sweet ride. When they discovered I was buying with EcoBank Auto Finance package, I automatically got an extra discount. Now, EcoBank offered me the coolest interest rates ever for my car. And that was it. Right now, I pay small and enjoying a happy life.
So don't just dream about that car. Call toll-free 0800 003 225 or walk into any EcoBank branch and ask about the EcoBank Auto Finance package. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
The right cybersecurity solutions to strengthen your defenses and secure your business with Virtual InfoSec Africa. Right here at Virtual InfoSec Africa, we provide you with the topmost designers, developers, and providers of information security services such as information security risk assessment, vulnerability assessment, social engineering services, digital forensic and network security, security operations services, SOC with managed services. VIA partners with the world's best original equipment manufacturer in providing affordable and world-class cybersecurity solutions with the best return on investment year on year. We are a shoulder you can count on. Locate us at the Palazzo Building, Osu Babu Street, Jolu. Call us on 0500-450092 or visit our website at www.virtualinfosecafrica.com. Virtual InfoSec Africa, security solutions.
Good morning. Let's do AM Sports here with me, Muftaro Nabila Abda. The FIFA World Cup finally got underway. The opening ceremony was full of glees and glamour, but the European media, including the BBC, blacked out the opening ceremony and rather decided to televise the alleged human rights abuses in Qatar that has dominated the headlines despite Valencia's 2 goals to give Ecuador a win in the game against Qatar, where Qatar became the first host nation in the 92-year history of the FIFA World Cup to lose an opening game. Also, we'll talk about the Ghana Premier League, where Accra Hearts of Oak had to claw from behind to draw 2-2 against Dreams FC, whilst Kumasi Asante Kotoko also lost 2-1 to Real Tamale United. But we start with the Ghana Premier League stories, where Benjamin Yoke scored late as Accra Hearts of Oak came from behind to draw 2-2 with Dreams FC. In Tamale, Kumasi Asante Kotoko opened the scoring courtesy of George Mfege, but it was their starman, David Abagna, who scored the winner as the Pride of the North came from behind to win 2-1 against the Porcupine Warriors.
Quickly effected. There's 1 against 3. Ishmael Dede, can he do a lot more than that? Yes, he can. He goes on his markers, kept the ball in play. Chance for Van Dijk. Dreams FC have broken the deadlock here at the Accra Sports Stadium. David William Kwabena Van Dijk. That's the name you should remember. Obviously bringing a lot of confusion into the Hearts of Oak defensive territory, but Ishmael Dede, tremendous ability he put in there. Worked his way around 3 Hearts of Oak players, then a 4th, got the cross on. And all Van Dijk had to do was to tap in. Cedi. Solid head up by Caleb. Return of a shot and it's there, goal number 2. Oh, this certainly is Van Dijk Day. 2 goals to the good by Dreams FC, and the big question, what were the markers of Accra Hearts of Oak doing? Corner kick was floated in. First attempt of the clearance was from Caleb Amankwa, and then it fell right there, and it only took a flick. Side here, Samuel Inkum. And you realize, oh! Samuel Inkum fancied, he went on, and then that clearance. Eso pushes on to Salifu, back to Eso. Through the middle, opportunity for the Phobians! They are back in it! Lord Bawamate was beaten. Build-up was good until that pass. And Benjamin York let one go.
Let's go to Qatar, where the opening ceremony of the FIFA World Cup took place before the first game of the competition between host Qatar and Ecuador. Morgan Freeman and Jen Cook, they start the glizzy ceremony that transpired, and it lasted about 28 minutes. We'll bring you some excerpts of what happened during the opening ceremony.
أهلا وسهلا بالعالم في دوحة الجميع. Welcome and good luck to all.
Welcome and good luck to the world. Unfortunately, the luck did not shine on Qatar as they suffered a 2-0 loss in the opening game against Ecuador, becoming the first nation in the history of the 92 years that the FIFA World Cup has existed to lose its opening game. It was Valencia who scored twice, first from the penalty spot before nodding in the second goal as they won 2-0.
Heavily relying on. Plays for Brighton. Just one of the three men, including Jeremy Sarmiento and Moise Caicedo. He's attack-minded, the fullback, and created 22 chances on their route to the 2022 World Cup. The goalkeeper comes off his line, doesn't have a touch on that ball. A dangerous moment here as it's lobbed over. It's the first goal of the 2022 World Cup. And it's Valencia who puts it into the net. Valencia, the man who plays for Fenerbahce, scores the first goal of the 2022 FIFA World Cup. Obviously, the referee, Daniel Rosato, I think will be looking for a foul anywhere in this. What do you think, Jacob?
Well, I don't think there was a foul in that game. That should be a very clear goal. I mean, it's a mistake of the goalkeeper. Said Al-Sheb is a very experienced man, having been played for Qatar for 80 games. And
well, they have to check a lot of things as well. Here is a check, and you see, it's a goal.
Oh, it's clear. I mean, there's no way that was going to be disallowed, Bernard.
You never know. There's a lot that is checked on now. Those footballs will be used in the World Cup. Here is another good run. This time rounding off the goalkeeper. It's going to be a penalty. Well, for sure, because he chucked the striker, and it's lucky that it doesn't get out. Oh, Willie. Oh, he's going to get off with a yellow card. To the side, 33 years of age. Has everybody on edge here in Qatar and also in Quito and in Ecuador. An easy chip, very cheeky, but into the net as Era Valencia opens the scores in Qatar.
Well, is the goalkeeper, but what a goal.
Let's look at how he put it in again. I mean, sends the goalkeeper on the wrong side and very casually slots it in. I mean, if you look at it from this other side, you'll actually wonder where the goalkeeper was going to, because look at where he's got a lot of space to be able to put the ball in on the other side, and sets off a celebration at the stadium. The bench all willing to do duty for the Ecuadorian side. Oh, this was left very easily by Karim Boudiaf, who wanted to get a free kick for no reason. Here is a cross, the header, it's in the net! Again, it is Ena Valencia. Scores a brace in the opening match of the 2022 FIFA World Cup. Jacob, what do you say about that?
Well, it was Estupinan who brought in that cross, and what a finish here. What a header. He directed it on the far post here. No chance at all for the goalkeeper, Said Al-Sheba, and he was denied the first one by the VAR. There was an offside, of course, but this time
it was a conversation of whether Qatar will rise to the occasion in this tournament after spending nearly 300 billion to put together the FIFA World Cup. Well, the opening game against Ecuador gave glimpses of what the world can expect from this team. And Joy Prime's pundit for the FIFA World Cup, Christopher Nimley, believes the team will struggle in the competition.
One would have expected something better. And for me, I want to pity the coach, because you did. I did say earlier on before the game started that if you want to, if you've gone in for a typical Catalan, somebody who believes in possessive football and dominating the round object, you need to have quality players to enable you do so. So I was wondering whether they've got the quality to play the Spanish way, and it is clear from what we've seen they come nowhere close
to what a typical Spanish team will do, and that, in my view, will be their downfall, and they will struggle throughout the tournament. I think it will come down to the quality they don't have as compared to the other two teams. Because look, a Senegalese team made up of the likes of Koulibaly, Sarr, Idrissa Gana Gueye, and those guys. They are playing for top teams in Europe. Okay, and if you go to the Dutch national team, there's Van Dijk, there's Van de Jong. Mention Memphis Depay. These are all world-class players, and they would have looked at this game today and clearly told themselves that, look, if this is the sort of opposition these guys are bringing, we need to quickly go in there and kill them quick. On the part of Qatar, one thing that if you're a coach you can build on is the fact that they'll be massively disappointed with what they've shown today. So in that next game, they want to come out and do better, and you can only hope that they will show a bit more desire, because look, in that first half, they just couldn't control the adrenaline level within the system. At this level, the gland will produce the adrenaline. As the player, you need to calm your nerves down and get it evenly distributed throughout your body to enable you think well.
The opening game started on Sunday. The Black Stars will be in action later this week. Their game against Portugal is happening on Thursday, and former Ghana international Anthony Bafo has called on the Black Stars technical team not to leave anything to chance. According to him, our players would provide them some difficulties in camp, and the leadership must ensure that everyone is brought together and given the needed spirit to rise to the occasion.
First of all, when you go to a World Cup, and I had the pleasure in 2006 to be part of the delegation, and saw also what happened behind the scenes. So it is very, very important to be well prepared. Apart from technical and tactical skills, you need also managerial skills, because this is the first time Otto will be with a team for 3 to 4 weeks.
Yes.
So you will have different in camp. You see, every player has a different character. You have a captain with Dede and Thomas Partey,
yeah,
who are the leaders together with all those who have experience. Exactly, Jordan, Baba has been there for quite a while. And it's important to have a good atmosphere, a good ambience, a good team spirit that can take you places. Believe me, it's very important. The FA, they're already in Qatar.
Yes,
and this is very important. That we go, we're there ahead, they have been going 3, 4, 5 times. This is a World Cup. You can't leave anything to chance. Bonuses should be paid if they're owing the players. The environment within camp, you have to make sure that everything is tip-top. His technical team, the way they're working together, it's important that they're united, because it's not going to be easy in terms of media landscape. You know, Ghana is a football nation, so this is a different pressure which comes with it, which you have to live with it. So I always tell Otto, stay calm, stay serene, and continue to work out. He doesn't sleep a lot, you know, and he's someone who's always doing research. So personally, I wish him very, very well, and I believe he has got what it takes to make an impact.
There are many Ghanaians who feel that the 7 matches Otto has played so far hasn't been so convincing enough for them. And you know him, like you said, we need a certain atmosphere. He's someone who doesn't sleep because he's always doing research, because he wants to know. He wants to have an idea about what player A or B can do and what his opponents can do to him. If we head to the World Cup, where do you think Otto can take us to?
First of all, I think the 17th of November, it's a very important date. We are playing against Switzerland.
That friend match against Switzerland.
We need to get our lineup.
Happy belated birthday to Fozia Fuseni. May Allah fulfill your heart's desires. And this is coming from my colleague, Mubarak Haruna. We wrap up with some of the interesting moments that happened in the Black Stars camp, where former Hearts of Oak head coach Samuel Boedu took to the dance floor and showed off his dancing skills. We appreciate your company with us this morning.
Powered by Hits 103.9 FM.
So which school do you go? Which are some of the fondest memories that you will never want to live away from?
Those memories where we used to come together in the dining hall, share jokes, where we used to go to chapel, pray, and where we used to go to the football field and play.
I just remember the time I prayed for dining. Because as a Daniel prefect, I just pray for the dining. I just pray before they eat. Otherwise, nobody's going to eat, man. Okay. Sometimes, you know, when the bell goes for dining, people delay. I just shut the whole place up. If I get 10 people, 8 people, they eat. The rest go away, man.
Powered by Hits 103.9 FM.
Bold, credible, and fearless journalism. That is what we stand for. Duty bearers and citizens know that they'll be asked the hard questions to bring out the truth. That is what we expect of us.
This then begs the question, where is your Dom Kwabena MP Advertisements?
I won't discuss her.
But you can call it a tiebreaker.
In this instance, it is.
I become a member of the House once I leave the seat.
But you admit that at least the fairness in interpreting the rules that makes it absurd.
No, it doesn't.
It is this commitment to tell truth to power that sets us apart, because we will hold the feet of leadership to the heat of accountability. Hello, welcome to PM Express. My name is Evans Mensah.
A fifth of the babies who come in will end up dying.
This is impactful journalism, the storytelling that stretches your imagination and shines a light on the underreported issues.
Normally, if you talk, that doesn't change people. Let them see it.
This is impactful journalism. It is fearless, independent journalism that reshapes thoughts and crushes stereotypes.
But I had no more strength in me again.
The person must be made to know that what you have done, yes, it would have deserved murder.
This is impactful journalism. It provides context and meaning to the different perspectives.
Children are born with sin, and therefore if you don't baptize them and they die as children, then they will go to hell. This is funny.
This is impactful journalism. It provides context and meaning to the different perspectives. This is JoyNews Hotline Documentaries, compelling stories changing the status quo.
Rent issue is becoming a headache.
For you, Ghana,
They say your light crowd and check. What light? 50 Ghana. And 1 week in Ponasa.
Everything is getting expensive. Everything, transportation. First this thing we buy 50 pesos, but now it's 80 pesos 1 city.
At first it was 4,000, now it's 4,400. And 200 Ghana has been added to the bill.
The chorus by Ghanaians, the times are hard. JoyNews will bring you the bread and butter, kenke and fish stories from across the country, gauging the average living conditions of Ghanaians in an economy still reeling from the pandemic.
Rent issue is becoming a headache.
For you, Ghana,
They say your light crowd and check. What light? 50 Ghana. And 1 week in Ponasa.
Everything is getting expensive. Everything, transportation. First this thing we buy 50 pesos, but now it's 80 pesos 1 city.
At first it was 4,000, now it's 4,400. And 200 Ghana has been added to the bill.
The chorus by Ghanaians, the times are hard. JoyNews will bring you the bread and butter, kenke and fish stories from across the country, gauging the average living conditions of Ghanaians in an economy still reeling from the pandemic.
Welcome back on the AM show. And just before I came on, I had to take a sip of water because guess what? Water is life. It regulates your body temperature. It keeps you alive and kicking. Well, Awake is premium purified water treated through a strict purification process to ensure that every bottle on the market refreshes you better. And guess what? We have the perfect sizes for all occasions, 330 and 500 ml bottles to fit your pockets and bags, 750 ml for the heavy drinkers, and 1.5 liters for those who always want more. We have also introduced our special 19-liter jars for offices and homes. Now, all you need to do is stay awake with Awake Purified Drinking Water wherever you go. So come on, grab a bottle of Awake Water and get quality hydration. Awake Purified Drinking Water, one for life. Remember, for every bottle you purchase, an amount is donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center. It's produced by Casa Preco. For bulk purchases, please call 0262 351 251. This advert is FDA approved. Now, you can buy 3 months or 12 months HD Plus subscription on your HD Plus decoder this football season and dial star 844 star 8 hash to enter the HD Orecodo Double promo. There are 1,700 rewards to be won, including trips for 3 couples to Dubai in December, a 65-inch TV or TVs, household appliances, and more. The promo is valid from now till the 5th of December 2022. Take advantage and make the most of it. On that note, let's settle for our conversation now as we talk our first big story. Have you ever wondered how the Ghana Statistical Service determines inflation per month? What is the permutation? How do the inflationary figures affect your personal budget? Well, today we bite into that with the head of Price Statistics Unit of the Ghana Statistical Service. I'm talking about Mr. John Foster Ajaho. He joins the conversation this morning. Mr. Ajaho, a very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, my brother. How are you doing?
Under the circumstances,
You're managing.
God is gracious.
That's good.
God is gracious. But, I mean, it's really good having you here. The other day, we had Professor Enim himself in the studio breaking down some of the bits for us. But let's start from the latest inflationary figures, even before we get into how you do the computation. What do they show? I hear 17 months back to back we've had inflation. What picture does that paint for our country?
Thank you, my brother. It doesn't paint a good picture to have about 17 months continued rise in inflation.
That's almost a year and a half.
That's about a year and a half.
1 month shy of a year and a half.
Yes, and it's not good because it shows that you are invariably impoverishing your people because then their purchasing power is reducing day in, day out. And if they're not having a corresponding pay rise, then it means they can't survive. And that's not too good for the economy.
And speaking of which, that would also bring into play the question of the minimum wage. Because when inflation, there is inflation or prices shoot up, it means that the value of what you have, your purchasing power parity, diminishes. Your purchasing power diminishes.
Yes.
And in recent times, I was just looking again at work by the Ghana Statistical Service, where you talk about the fact that about 1.1 million males have now, gone unemployed from the first quarter to the second quarter of the year. I think it's, is it the Upper East or Upper West region that has about 7 out of 10 males, because it's 69%, so that's basically 7 out of 10. But what I found curious, when you look at that same research, it points to the fact that people are now earning, in some cases, as little as 9 cedis and 90 pesos, or 9 pesos, so to speak, which is even less than 10 cedis, which is even less than the current minimum wage that will be rolled over. What does that mean? How bad is that? What picture, again, does that paint?
It's even more bad if you consider the fact that those who are earning that 10 cedis, for example, let's just rounding up 10 cedis, and you have inflation of about 40.4, in essence, they are losing about 4 cedis out of that 10. So invariably, they have just about 5 cedis to spend. That's how bad it looks. One, he's earning that low. 2, inflation is not too good for him. And so the real purchasing power of that money being given him is losing value about 4 cedis. So he only goes home with just about 5 cedis, 60 pesos to spend for the day. And you can imagine when you have prices of things skyrocketing, what that 5 cedis can do. And so when he's not able to feed well, he falls sick. And once the workforce is sick, the economy is sick. Production will be affected. So if you don't work on this early, it will have that spillover effect whereby we end up drifting towards, a shrinking economy. That's what we should fight against.
Is our economy shrinking as of now?
No. The good is that the last quarter release from the GDP gives some hope.
Right.
We're just cautioning that we should not wait for the workforce to get sick, to get, lose hope, and then begin to stay off work, and then we get to a shrinking economy.
Because the economy thrives on
the workforce,
a healthy workforce. So if there's no labor, there's no economy,
economy.
Basically. Let's get to the bit about how you go about your permutations in terms of the last time Professor Enim was here, I think he mentioned, is it 303?
307 items.
307 items that you have in your basket. Yes. How do you go about it in terms of determining that this is the inflationary figure for this month, that month? How do you do it?
So every month we go to the market across all the regions.
Okay.
We have some selected shops, let me call it that way, so everybody to understand. Shop, we call it outlets, that we visit. Okay. And for those shops, we have items that we collect prices on. So within the first week of every month, we go there. Those that are not pre-packaged, like rice and like bottled water, as you mentioned in your intro, we go with scales to weigh the corresponding value of that. So for example, if you take cassava, in the market, they sell it in heaps. So if you say it's 10 cedis, we measure how heavy that,
because and unfortunately in our system we don't have like the European or American system where it's kilograms or grams. Here it's
and then one thing the sellers do is that they can decide to maintain the price, the value price, but they'll be shrinking, they'll be reducing the weight.
Right.
So even
the Olunka, for example,
or even Paddy eats something like that. So we go to make sure we account for all those changes. And then when we get those prices, we come back to office, we do the calculations, we look at the change, and then we come up with inflation.
So tell me, you speak of selected shops, right? Are these shops that you go to all the time? Do you change the shops? Because maybe some shops would also give you slightly skewed figures, which may not be reflective of the generality, maybe looking at an average. How do you select these outlets?
Great. So we look at, in the selection, we look at representativeness. If the shop has the number of items that we are looking for, whether the people in the catchment area patronize it more, then we select it. Okay. But then changing, no, we don't change. We don't change because I always use this example. I happened to be around Medina some time ago looking for Tampico. There's a drink called Tampico.
Yes.
I went to the first shop and then it was expired. So then I dropped it.
Wow.
I moved to the next shop. The price was more than double. In the first shop, they were giving it to me at 5 cedis, and I know I usually buy it around 250 pesos. Okay. So when I moved about just less than a minute away, I got it at the normal price. So when we take you, we try to keep to you. Because if we change, as we have changed, for the example I gave, we have recorded over 50% increase in inflation, which was not due to real increase in the price, but because we changed the seller. So we keep to the person. And you mentioned the point that the price may be skewed. The good news about the inflation we do is that we don't look at the value price. We look at the change.
Okay.
So you may be selling the same product, let's say for 10 cedis. He is selling for 5 cedis. By the end of the day, we are looking at how your 10 cedis has increased and how his has increased the change, not necessarily the real price.
And that brings me to an interesting point, because again, going back to, I get the statistic and how you're talking about the computation you do. Yesterday, I was sharing with you before we came on air that I usually purchase a certain type of blood tonic. I went to a place, and I think just about 2 weeks ago, I got it for 12 cedis and something, 12 cedis, 50 pesos or something like that. I go to a pharmacy yesterday, and it's 20 cedis. And I'm thinking, whoa. So I speak to the attendant and go like, but I got this for 12 cedis and it wasn't that same place though. Sure. It was a different place. So I felt, look, let me go to another place that I think, when I got there, it was 38 cedis. It was almost, what? So 38, it's even more than
50%.
Exactly.
Difference.
Almost twice the price.
Yes.
And I was stunned. So when you have such comparatives, how do you try to get out that element of distortion? How do you do it?
So the good news is that, as I said, so for example, as you say, you have this shop that you normally purchase from.
Yes.
And we prefer that we keep to that shop.
Right.
So he would have said, okay, the last time you bought was 12 cedis. Now it's, let's say, 26 cedis.
Right.
But remember, when you move to the other shop, he was sent more than what your normal shop.
Yeah.
So you see,
so an 8 CD difference between where I bought it 2 weeks ago and now. And in the other case, it's about, what, 20-something CDs difference.
So if we were going to pick from the other one, who is sent at that high, we'd have kept to him. And yes, his price is high. But you see, the other thing I want to bring viewers' attention to is the fact that I think the president even mentioned that his speech, people don't understand. What he said, people are profiteering.
Right.
So you see, the same product, you got it 26 somewhere, another person is selling it at 30 something.
Yeah.
Same product.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the same supplier is giving to them.
Yeah.
Why would he sell it?
But someone may tell you it is the stock. Maybe this person bought it, it's been there for maybe a month, and this person just got stock, let's say, a few days ago, and the price changes have affected them.
Well, that could be true.
I remember I bought a certain drug for about 300 CDs just recently. And I felt, whoa. I went to another place, it was less than 200.
Right.
But within a short while, I went to that place where it was less than 200.
The price has changed.
And now they had got new stock, and I think there it was even 400 CDs. So you see, these are the things that unsettle people.
I agree, because I mean, if indeed you had an old stock and you haven't gone to the market to see what has changed, you still be selling at that low price.
Yeah.
Only when you go to the market that you realize things have gone up, you come increase. That I agree with you. But certainly we cannot avoid the fact that people are also playing around the situation we find ourselves in and are arbitrarily increasing prices. I mean, we have a lot of examples to share. And I think this is where we all have to, be patriotic and help all of us get out of the situation. Because if you think about the money, the profit we make, COVID time, this is started from the COVID time. When people started increasing prices.
Right.
Because we're in a difficult
even a common face mask.
Common face mask. It went up to 50 cedis. And that thing has stayed on up to 9. That's what we are fixing. People are still, they write out, the economy is hard, things are expensive. Let me be fast, let me make money before it normalizes. I mean, that cannot help all of us. We should all be patriotic enough, because we're going to be doing this for long if we all don't change our attitude.
Just how long do you suspect we could be in this? Because, I mean, look, I am reflecting the ordinary Ghanaian. We are all praying that we'll get out of this very quickly because, look, it's not helping anybody. Even with fuel prices where they stand now, after diesel has gone, lowered by about 3 cedis, petrol by 2 cedis, still, the last time I went to the pump, Charlie,
it's too high.
It's absurd.
For me, the hope, and I'm smiling because initially I was scared. I mean, I was not seeing end in sight. But now that we are seeing relative stability at the exchange market, we are seeing some reduction from the commodity price. When I was listening to you this morning, I heard that crude prices at the world market had reduced a little.
Right.
And then we saw some marginal decrease in our pump prices. If these things work out well for us, then maybe before the year ends, we can begin to breathe some sign of relief.
Just to say briefly, I know I'm widening the scope of the conversation, but as you speak of the exchange rate, for example, what is the reality there? I conducted a cursory, survey over the weekend. I just ran some checks. Look, out there, people are, the Bank of Ghana rate is around 13 cedis, just around 13 cedis, 13.08, 13.10, 13.15. People are not, outside of the banks, and even the banks mostly will tell you that if you wanted foreign currency, you can't just, if you were traveling or something, that's when they would give you that.
Yeah.
And now also we know about the central bank, others clamping down on those who are importing certain goods that supposedly we should be producing here, which we are not yet producing en masse. But the exchange rate, is it realistic? Out there, just this weekend, I interacted with a number of people. The exchange rate is, you will not get anything less than 14.50. That is if you are selling, for example, the dollar. If you were buying it, it would be something else.
Yeah. For us, I think we are happy because we have a series of discussions with government, and some of the policies that we proffered, we've seen it be implemented.
Like what? Like which ones?
Like the control in the dealing in dollar. And the bank has taken up seriously.
Okay.
Because that is in the sense that dollars have been moved out of Ghana to our neighboring countries. You go to some countries that surround us, it is difficult to get dollar, even from the former markets. So the business people come down here through their commercial banks, and they carry the dollars away. And so when the demand exceeds supply, we are always having the challenge of the depreciation. So even as they're changing the Goro boys in Mokola, Tudu, and wherever, I think they should also put their eye on the. We should be able to monitor who is taking what and for what. Now they're saying that they're not giving dollar support to non-essential imports. So we should be able to measure that if you are giving over $1 million to a businessman from where, importing what. Once we're able to control the depreciation, trust me, we'll be jumping to hallelujah in the next few months.
I think apart from any fiscal issues that we could look at, and maybe, yes, we know that the responsibility lies with the Bank of Ghana and the Finance Ministry shared in terms of propping up our currency. Exactly. But when it comes to the black market, which also plays a crucial role, yes. They are everywhere.
Yeah.
I used to joke that now I don't think it's still there, but there's a popular police station in Accra, right in the central district,
I know that place,
where you would see them right next to a police station.
Holding it.
I always found that so curious, like hilarious, basically. They are right there in front of the police station. Yes. I don't know whether I don't think I've seen them.
I think that they're running away because the bank is chasing them.
Right. But can we do away with black marketeering, especially when the OMCs, for example, the oil marketing companies, we are not able to give them, we're just giving them a quarter or less of what they need in terms of foreign currency to bring in crude, processed and all of that. And then again, now that we are talking about those non-essential inputs and cutting off, dollars for these traders, isn't that just going to prop up the black market and just create a reverse of what we want to see?
For me, the good news I say in fighting the black market issues is that, you are right to say that we certainly cannot completely eradicate them. But when we minimize their activity, what they do is that they create artificial shortage.
Right.
When they get the dollars, they hoard it. So when the demand is high, the price goes up, then they come and sell. So when you're able to eliminate them, then you can have control over the rates. And that's why you all have to commend the bank for what they are doing. They should continue. Once we minimize their activity, we'll be able to have some stability at the first front.
Let's get back to the bit about inflation and how it's measured and all of that. So we've spoken about the 307 items in the basket. We've spoken about your outlets. What then happens month on month? So when do you conduct this? At the tail end of a month and at the start of the new month? How do you go about it?
At the beginning of the month. So the first week of the month, we deploy our price collectors to the markets.
Okay.
They spend between 5 and 8 days collecting the prices. And then when they bring it, they do validation to make sure the prices they've taken are correct. Then it's transmitted to HQ, where we have to do the computation to make sure it follows our standards, and then we publish it in the second week of the month. So when we publish inflation for this month, is the inflation for the previous month.
The previous month. When you look at the inflation so far this year, from January till now, let's forget about the 17-month cycle. Let's look at January to now, 11 months. What is the tail of the tape? What does it events? What does it show?
It shows that there is one shortage of, let me put it away, essential commodities, especially food items. And that's how you see the food inflation going so high. And I was shocked to be told that even goods, we import it from our neighboring countries.
Oh yeah, Burkina Faso, Mali, and the rest.
Importing from our neighboring countries. Onions. So we need to do something. We need to do, in fact, we use the word grow what we eat and eat what we grow.
Right.
Domestication. We have the farmland. So it's still that, we can't feed. Our people cannot eat, 3 square meters, we call it, because food inflation is going up.
Right.
So we need to really avail our minds to this and make sure we produce enough, because it shows that there's shortages on the market. That's why the prices are going up. We don't have buffer stocks. But
that paints an interesting picture, because the Agric Ministry will tell us something different, that we in fact have a whole lot more, and recently you've seen them selling at the Agric Ministry. But it definitely shows, when Mr. President said in that address, that we need an import substitution strategy, that a lot of these, I hear there are some juicy types of tomatoes, for example, that we import from Burkina Faso. Yeah. How come over these years and decades we've not been able to? So those raise a lot of questions. How come we bring in so many? Yes, there are entities here that produce toothpicks, but a lot of it is imported. From China and other places. Even the masks we use. So you ask yourself, initially when that drive started, when COVID and we are producing homegrown masks, what has happened to that enterprise? But so just a quick step back. When you speak about the store, the outlets that you go to, do you go to markets as well? Are these just supermarkets and all of that? What is the range? Do you target markets? Do you go to a makola? Do you go to how do you do it?
So we've done a study that shows us where majority of the people purchase their items, and that is the market that you're talking about: the makola, the Atibubu, the Agogo market, the whole market. So majority of our outlets are in the open market. Then we have shops. We have the malls you mentioned, the supermarkets. So we have a cross section of all these shops. The open, the shed, those who open, the open, who don't not in any shop, not in any room, we go to them. Those who go have in the schools we go, the filling station we go. So it's a cross section of all the outlets that we buy things from. Representative.
Okay, so it's wholly representative.
It's wholly representative.
Let's move on now to talk about how all of this, the inflationary figures, 40.4 as of October. How does that impact the ordinary Ghanaian? I mean, what is the meaning of that to the ordinary Ghanaian, looking at the average person and their earnings? What does it mean?
So what I basically say always in simple terms is that inflation is a thief, it's an arm robber. So you're assuming your salary is 1,000 cedis. If inflation is 40.4, what it basically means is that
you've lost
that thief is stealing 440
Ghana cedis.
Ghana cedi from you.
Wow.
So in essence, you are left with
560.
If you want to live what you were doing a year ago, that's what it means. You have just about 500 to go back to your a year ago life.
Ghana, that is an very apt analysis of the situation. So, according to Mr. Ajaho, if you earn 1,000 cedis, and it makes a lot of sense, with inflation hovering around 40.4%, it basically means 440 cedis have been taken away from you by inflation. So, when you hit the market, your 1,000 cedis is now actually worth about 560 Ghana cedis. That is startling.
Yeah, very startling. So if a year ago I was buying, the 1,000 could buy me my kenke, I'll be able to buy trotro and maybe take off my medication. Now, I can't, with this inflation and still the same amount of money, I can't go back to that life. I may not be able to take my medication. What happens? I'm going to die.
Wow.
I may not be able to pay my rent. I'll be evicted from my room, sleep outside. That's how serious it is. And that's how we are all trying to talk about this so we see how we can remedy the situation.
We also know that there is individual inflation because it depends on what you purchase.
Yes.
So if someone is purchasing, Kofi Brokeman every day, it doesn't mean I love Kofi Brokeman.
I love it too.
But if someone decides to feed on that for an entire month, that person's budget would be different from someone who wants to have lunch at X restaurant or Y place, So definitely paint a picture for us how in these times we can manage that. And we also know you have an app as the Ghana Statistical Service to measure inflation.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about that as well.
So, you see, as you rightly said, inflation affects individuals differently. In fact, even the regions, it affects them differently. So, depending on what you buy, if you decide to go for those Lazarus items, whose prices are changing rapidly over time, then you're in trouble. So you need to make some adjustments so that you know that, okay, if you want to buy 3-piece suits and now that's costing about 1,500, you can just look at it, no, maybe let me hold on a while.
Right.
Let me go with my traditional shirt.
Right.
For the next 2 months, who has lower inflation, and you'll be able to survive. And that's how we can develop the app. So people can relate. You do the permutations, no. Maybe you have to stop taking taxis. Maybe reduce the taxi taking, but not to stop though. And then maybe do more of walking and trotro. So I don't get heart hit. If I'm driving my 4x4 that consumes a lot of diesel or petrol, and now the pump price is up, I think I have to park it. So you can do, using the app, you can...
If I have a smaller car, let me use it.
Or even join the commercial vehicle, join the taxi, join the Uber, join the trotro.
Right.
Until we are out of the woods, and then you can go back to your luxurious life. Like you said, if I eat fried rice a lot with chicken and French fries, why not me eat my coffee book, eat my kontemi, my banku, my fufu?
Yeah.
Who it may probably not impact so much. It depends on we call something weight. How important that item is in your basket.
Right.
And then its effect on your inflation. So we really need to make adjustments here and there at this time.
Where it gets complicated is where, for example, people have to undergo chemotherapy or dialysis or get insulin shots. Those ones are out of your hands. I have, in one of our Living Standard series, my colleague, Mamiesi Thompson, spoke about how some people, I think there was this lady at the University of Ghana who was rationing her insulin shots. And that is dangerous. It's life-threatening. So when the issue of medicine comes in, that is where, can you say, oh, maybe today I'll not take the pills for my hypertension, but tomorrow I'll do this, when you know that it should be regular. So those are some of the complications for people. There's nothing you can do about that.
My brother, that's the sad aspect of the situation we find ourselves in. As rightly said, there are some, commodities or some needs of the individual that you cannot substitute. Like health care, chemotherapy. Substitute for what? And the most painful thing is that when the price is so high and the person cannot afford, he stays off it.
Yeah.
Eventually, we are saying the person should die.
Yeah.
And that's why we're always saying that, look, we need to find a way out of this in the shortest possible time. I mean, I first about the example you gave, the person needs to survive. He has no option. And yet the thing is being priced out of his control. We really need to do something.
Today, for example, we're talking about HIV/AIDS, which is spiraling a bit out of control and all of that. Imagine someone who has to get antiretrovirals. I know basically there are freebies in there, but they will need other things to ensure that they don't retrogress and the virus doesn't take over. If they don't have the means, it means we're basically telling them, Sebe, Kufioku.
Let me even bring your mind to something. I mean, some of the effects of this inflation we're talking about. I mean, people can disagree with me though, but you realize that there's a lot of people out there who catch this virus by virtue of poverty. So he needs to feed. I mean, like you were talking about somebody who needs to survive. And then he thinks that, especially for the female part, I'm sorry to use that example, the only way is probably to go to a man, and then the man take advantage of her vulnerability, and then in the end, they get infected with this. So that's why we need to grow an economy where, I mean, people can be comfortable. Then some of these things, see, otherwise we can be doing well, doing the campaign, but fight against HIV. But you see, the cause, if it's not tackled, it's still
positive factors. That's a crucial point you make there. But that also reflects, today I was reading Jeff Bezos, I think the second or third wealthiest man on the planet, founder of Amazon, was actually saying that, look, in the season, in the United States and beyond, don't go buying the cars and the big screen TVs and all of that. Because we could be in for a recession. He's talking about the United States. But of course, what happens in the United States often has a trickle-down effect on the rest of the world, a spiral effect. And I found that interesting because his business thrives on packaging and selling these items. Yet he is saying, Charlie, we for slow down.
No, but there are honest people in the world. There are people that are realistic. And he's seeing what is happening to them. And you see, and that was the point I was making too. This is not the time to live Lazarus' life. This is a time for us to manage and make sure we just only depend on the essentials, survival of the fittest. So this is not the time to go and buy a 90-inch television and buy the 6-piece, the 3-piece suit and all that. You need to make adjustments because if, for example, like you said, we went into recession, you can't even watch that television. All that you may need at that time is water and food. So this is the time to make savings to prepare for the eventuality. That's what he was trying to advise us.
Let's look at another angle of this whole inflationary conversation. And after that, I'll bring it back home. In the United States, part of why we've seen all the inflation that we see across the world is that the dollar has been very strong. Very strong. Is it bullish as those on there? And we've also seen that, I mean, it's appreciated by about 15%. Recently, it lost about 4 percentage points. So we see a bit of decline in there, stability. Some economists predicted stagflation, stagnation and inflation in the US, and eventually a recession. But with what we are seeing now, with the dollar, the appreciation of other currencies, because now the Great British Pound has appreciated a bit, the euro is back to
stability.
Well, it's also appreciated by a bit, marginally. But what does that mean? A weaker dollar. What does that mean? 1, for the Ghana Cedi's stability. 2, for the cost of borrowing, especially for the business community. I'm not talking about Ghana, I'm talking about the business community. And 3, general inflation.
So if the dollar, somebody's problem becomes your happiness, if the dollar is weakening, it helps other currencies to gain strength. And that's why we are seeing some stability in our currency. So if you're able to do other things that will help our Cedi appreciate, then it gives us that purchasing power, the strong power, to be able to control inflation.
Are we doing those things?
I think they're doing. Example is what I told you about the bank's effort to clean the forex market. So when we do all those things, then our Cedi will appreciate. Of course, then the prices will come down, inflation will lower. So yes, it's not good for America to suffer the depreciation, though, but I think it's good for us.
What we can't guarantee, though, because the Federal Reserve, is the one that hikes the rates and all of that, the cost of borrowing. They've not shown signs. In fact, it's been still hawkish when you listen to some of their representatives speak. Economists are hoping that they would, see this as a sort of peak and not hike rates further. Because if they do, the dollar will get stronger again, and currencies like ours will be the ones suffering. Because if you look at it globally, it is weaker economies like ours that bear the brunt of those effects.
That is why policymakers should not wait. Once we are seeing those signals, we take advantage. We also put our policy in place. Often than not, the weaker countries tend to wait and see what happens in America and the Western world before they act. I think we've got to
we are not proactive, eh?
We should be proactive. We should be a step ahead too. So as you give the example, you ask yourself, okay, if the Fed begin to show up more to strengthen the dollar, what will be the effect on me? Okay, what will the plan B? So we should also be putting the permutation down and not just wait and say, okay, it's a dollar, it's a global dynamics, we have nothing to do. No. We've got to do something.
So in terms of these permutations we're looking at, what I started talking about, inflation 40.4%, and that picture you painted for us, if you're earning 1,000 cedis, with inflation at 40.4%, it means you're losing 440 cedis. You're left with 560 cedis to do the same thing that you were doing a year ago. Yeah. And how is that possible? It means you must do some to stay, to just stay, not to go ahead though. You must run a lot just to stay where you
maintain your previous year life. So you're not even growing.
What then would you say ordinary Ghanaians should be looking at and doing beyond maybe cutting down spending? Because you will even be forced to cut down the spending because you don't have the funds anyway. What other alternatives are moving from central government and coming to the individual now? What do people do? What should people be doing?
So this is where we need to work more. That's what that means. I mean, we need to increase our productivity. And then so once you grow or you work more, you might earn more income to make room for the losses.
So extra jobs?
Extra jobs. And then those who do their individual work, hard work. People who do their own work, I mean farming. Somebody goes to farm 8 o'clock, by 9, 10, he's back. No, spend more time, increase the acreage. So the yield goes up and then you can get more money. You see, we need to make room for the loss, the one that has been stolen by inflation, and then we can move forward. So now at this time we need to avoid the profligate spending, cut unnecessary expenditure, but then increase productivity, and we'll be good to go.
Let me ask you this. So as we go to the IMF, for example, we all know 3 billion is what we are looking for. And some would say that we have no business being here because 3 billion is not a sum that we, as a country,
we cannot afford.
We cannot afford. But we know about the wastage. The wastage in terms of corruption alone is more than that sum of money. In terms of the Auditor General's reports and what they show is more than that money. But we've landed at the doorstep of the IMF. In terms of securing a deal, how crucial is the Ghana Statistical Service? Because you have all the data. How crucial is your role, and what role have you played in that so far? Have you played a role?
A lot. You know, like you rightly said, the fund depends on data to know where this country is and then the way forward.
Right.
They just left our office, I think about 2 weeks ago. I was with them, they were with me to look at my data, go through the processes and make sure everything is correct. And so we give them the data, we give government the data, they fund the data to make sure they know what the situation, diagnose the condition well, and profile the best solution. So you're very critical, very crucial in this discussion.
And so
they can't bypass us to do anything.
They can't bypass.
Government cannot bypass us because they need the data to inform the next step.
And so this data, what kinds of data are we looking at that you furnish, the IMF with?
Basically, from our side, they're looking at two key macroeconomic indicators: the inflation and the GDP. Right. How the economy is growing. So these are the two that they use to do their projections. And that's why they come out with say maybe our debt level is not sustainable, it's sustainable, and we can get out of the root problem in the next month or so. These are the two data that they use in arriving at those decisions.
Before we wrap the conversation, before we do the final leg of what your last words and final propositions would be, I'm going to run this by you. You don't have to answer it if you don't want to, because I don't want to do anything that would. But I'm bringing it up for good reason. I'm sure you followed the ad hoc committee's work in Parliament concerning Ken Ofori-Atta, our finance minister. Some have said, I'll not go to the accusations, the 7-point list and what has happened there. But some have said that in terms of an IMF deal, sometimes your arrowhead is important. Who is leading the conversation? People say the finance minister may be leading the conversation is not the best. I just read in the Daily Guide this morning, Dr. Makesibe Yabua, former chair of the Finance Committee of Parliament, saying that we should let, the finance minister read the budgets, at least. Do you have a take on this? Like I said, you don't, if you feel uncomfortable.
No, and in fact, my shame, I'll
go with.
As a typical Ghanaian, there's something that we always say. The devil
It's better than the angel you don't.
So yes, I mean, we may have all those problems against the finance minister. I mean, I don't disprove that, but we don't know what the next person is going to bring to the table.
Interestingly, the same Dr. Marcus Ibeyabua has had his name come up in terms of being like a likely replacement.
Oh, okay. But for me, the fear of the unknown is what I would say we should tread cautiously. Because we have seen his performance, we've seen and we have all this against him. But probably he may be better than maybe the one that is coming. I'm not just by this saying he's the one I want.
Right.
But I'm just being curious and careful about the one that probably may come and how his performance will be. Probably to do worse.
Right. Is it rational to keep him just on the back of the fact that, well, he has superintended all of this, so maybe we should let him conclude it, and then when things stabilize, we can get someone else. Is it rational?
You see, I think we also have to be a bit realistic, to be very frank with you. We should understand the dynamics. It's not only Ghana. We have global challenges. Even the best countries, the Western world, are suffering. It's not the fault of probably their leadership. So if, as you rightly said, for 6 years, he's been through it, COVID, his Senate, probably there are some plans that he's put in there with his team. And so if he said, yeah, things are hard now, so quickly let's get him out. And then somebody comes in, he doesn't really know where we've come from and all the dynamics. That's why I think I have a problem. To be very frank with you.
Well, interesting thoughts you've shared there, and at least I am grateful that you decided to share your thoughts on that. What would be your concluding words, Mr. Jaho, as we have spoken about inflation, the real impact on the ordinary Ghanaian, where we find ourselves financially as a country? And I think maybe before your final words, you didn't tell us a bit about the app. You started and then
yes.
just before you conclude.
Yes. So if you go to our website, probably you should have it on screen.
So Ghana Statistical Service.
Website.
Right.
Then there's an app there called Personal Inflation Calculator. Once you log on onto that, you have the items that we spend on. So you can enter your expenditure. So maybe a month you are spending 100 cedis on, let's say, transport, you are spending 50 on your accommodation. You put in it will guide you to see how inflation is affecting you personally, and then you can make your substitutions. So it's something that we encourage people to go. It's a new app, yes, we are still testing it, but to give an idea of how you are relating to inflation, and then you make this necessary adjustment as needed.
Well, Mr. Jaho, we are immensely grateful that you took the time to join us with your thoughts this morning. And I think this should continue. It shouldn't be. We're glad that Professor Enim, whenever we call on him, he shows up, and you have done same. I think it would be good. I've learned a lot today, and I'm sure many people watching us have done so too. So maybe every now and then, GSS, and so we can all learn. And also, maybe some of the tips you share, we can all cut our coats according to our cloth. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And that is John Foster Jaho, Head Price Statistics Unit of the Ghana Statistical Service. Well, that's only the first leg of the conversation we've had. There's been a spike in HIV cases in Ghana this year, some 24,000. What exactly is happening? Why are we here? And what is the way forward? More conversations coming up on the AM show. Do stay.
It's everywhere. The anticipation, the game, media football season. Enjoy massive discount. When you are talking class, then you are talking media. Media massive discount promo. The world's largest producer of major appliances, Media.
Yes, media discount. Yeah, whoa.
You've heard it all. Enter any media outlet around you and purchase your gas cooker, dispenser, fridge, water heater, toaster, washing machines, kettles, and many more. And the good news, up to 50% discount on selected items this season. Media football season.
For the past 8 years, Hope College, with its serene environment coupled with excellent facilities and dedicated teachers, have churned out many successful graduates doing well in universities across Ghana and all over the world. Here are a few.
Hope College was a great preparatory stage for entering the world
It instilled in me virtues such as honesty and integrity.
The teachers are also highly experienced and display an unwavering dedication towards the student's body.
Quality-driven education is assured, and the mind is educated as well as the heart.
I had the privilege of enrolling my son at Hope College. I considered it a blessing because he came out as a well-rounded person, how to even do chores at home and the commitment to his studies.
I will encourage every parent who wants their child to go to a private SHS to choose Hope College.
Locate Hope College in Gomwafete behind the Village of Hope campus, or call 020-023-71.
Powered by Hits 103.9 FM.
So which school did you go? Which are some of the fondest memories that you will never want to live away from?
Those memories where we used to come together in the dining hall, share jokes, where we used to go to chapel, pray, and where we used to go to the football field and play.
I just remember the time I prayed for dining. Because as a Daniel prefers, I just pray for the dining. I just pray before they eat. Otherwise, nobody's going to eat, man.
Okay.
Sometimes, you know, when the bell goes for dining, people delay. I just shut the whole place up. If I get 10 people, 8 people, they eat. The rest go away, man.
Powered by Hits 103.9 FM.
Listen, and listen close. Something is happening. NASCO Massive Promo has begun. NASCO up to 50% discount is here.
This season, a NASCO massive discount. It's NASCO new promo. What are you waiting for? This season, we are offering massive discounts up to 50%. Yes, on selected items from NASCO.
Call 0242 439 437. NASCO, bring home happiness.
Alexa, open Multimedia Ghana and play Joy FM.
Super Hits Radio. Joy 99.7.
Listen to Joy FM, Hits FM, Love FM, live on your Amazon Echo. Listen to your favorite multimedia radio stations live on your Amazon Echo device by saying, Alexa, open Multimedia Ghana, play Joy FM or Hits FM or Love FM. Or catch up on your favorite podcast by saying, Alexa, play, and then the name of your favorite podcast from Multimedia Ghana. For a list of all podcasts available, say Alexa. Ask Multimedia Ghana to browse programs. Alexa, welcome to Multimedia.
Imagine a family without a home. Imagine a song without a voice. Imagine a church without prayers. Imagine a government without citizens. Imagine democracy without journalists. Imagine a world without the media. Life is full of issues and stories about people, communities, and governments. Stories that have to be told by well-trained journalists. That's why you can't imagine news without JoyNews.
We're live again on Drive Safe, and we're here at Top Tech Transport and Logistics. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. Right before we get into the topic for today, let's look at our quiz question. So you think you know. Here it is. Okay, so we'll get the answer to that at the tail end of today's segment. We're here with the CEO of Top Tech Transport and Logistics, Cecil Gabra, once more. Always a pleasure to be here. Thank you once more.
Thank you, Ben. And I'm also pleased to welcome you to my humble abode.
Today, I'd like us to look at bus driving and the causes of accidents with buses involved. We've had some gory accidents this year with buses involved. You remember the incident where some students were traveling back to school, University of Education Winneba students. We also had the one involving some Chinese who were burned to a crisp in there, and how we can prevent such accidents. The ball is in your hands.
Well, thank you so much. Whenever there's any accident, bus accident or accidents, and then I have a call from any station, in fact, I just tell them one thing: this is just the beginning. Yes, because it will happen again. It will happen because we don't take road safety serious in this country. If we are to advise ourselves on the 4 technical E's that we have in driving, I think that will go to stop the accidents. And then the biggest is enforcement and education. Right, now, if I pick the buses, I ask myself these first questions. Who authorized this bus to be used? Has it gone through the various checks?
Is it roadworthy?
Is it roadworthy? That is it. Have you ever seen any bus going through DVLS system to check their roadworthy and so on?
But they have the stickers.
They have the stickers. So that's a big question mark. That calls for an investigation. How did they manage to get these stickers, and why are they roadworthy if they are not? Some of the buses are rusted, and then they just patch them and paint them and so on. Are they carrying good ties? Who checks this? What about the driver himself? What about the speed limit? Every bus must have speed limiters installed in them so that they cannot drive after 80 kilometers per hour. They are supposed to carry logbooks, and then they need tachographs. The drivers must fill them up. And in addition, I'm calling for another enforcement where the National Road Safety Authority will even have jobs for people. I know Mr. Adontin is listening to me, right. And he's the new boss, acting boss. I'm just praying very hard that his position will be confirmed, because I've been working with him. What I advise is that let's make sure that the law is working, because again, the LI 2180 states categorically that, look, this bus driver or the buses must have all these things, and if they have it, road accidents will be minimized. Their ties. Who checks their ties? Remember I mentioned an audit, transport audit, before you be given a certificate to operate. And every month we should have these auditors coming to check on you, because as private as we are, what we think of is money. If the bus is not even good, we'll say, take them for one trip and come, we'll repair it with the money that you raise, which is so wrong. So the value of the human being this time is not respected at this particular point, because the vehicle is not so strong, and then you put people in it. As my people will say, and then collect your money. So we need an audit for those transport companies to find out whether their vehicles are roadworthy and so on. Their drivers, are they trained? If they are not trained, bring them. We'll train them for you. It entails a lot. It is not an issue of go and sit in behind the steering wheel and then go. So that is why we will have a lot more of accidents. We need speed limiters to control their speed.
Right.
And even in the evening, we should have laws. How many drivers sit in the bus? At least we should have 3 buses. And it gets to a point in time we need to change whether we like it or not, because you are going for a long journey.
You say we should have 3 buses. I think
3 drivers.
3 drivers.
Yes,
rather,
that's
right?
what I mean. 3 drivers in the bus that we need to, depending on the journey, we need to be changing. And then other drivers need to be monitoring, and we need monitors also in the vehicle, because you are carrying maybe 60 passengers. And these are all breadwinners of their family.
Yeah, so that goes into the bit about logbooks and all of that, and we'll move on to that conversation maybe the next time we get to meet. But how often, I mean, to avoid some of these bus crashes, how often should some of these drivers be changed? For example, let's say you are on a 6-hour journey. Let's say you're going up north and you're driving a bus every 2 hours, every 3 hours?
You know, we have laws on fatigue. The law says that drive for 4 hours and take a rest for about 15 to 30 minutes and continue. But then for we road safety advocates, we always say that drive for 2 hours, get everybody in the vehicle to come out and stretch, at least for about 5 minutes. That's why I'm praying that we have a lot of stops, like what we have at on the Kumasi Road, Lindado. We have many of it, so that even for every hour, everybody stops. Why are you rushing? You are going to Kumasi, and then you are in a rush. For what? What if you don't get to your destination? And this is what we need to think of. We need to educate the people who will be seated in the buses, because about 95% who board buses do not know how to drive.
All right.
And so when the driver is misbehaving, they don't know what to say. If the driver is speeding, others are so happy, oh, you be drunk them. But it is so risky. What about the ball joints of this vehicle? What about the steering rack? When was it serviced? Okay, so all this, the braking system, the bus needs a longer period for it to stop. So when you go on your brakes, at least 100 meters, the bus slows down and stops. Under which speed? And this is it. The bus gets to a sharp curve, and the driver doesn't care. He takes a sharp curve. The people in the vehicle will go left and come right. That is risky. You don't have that in bus driving. So we have a lot to talk about, and then I believe in actioning. Education and emergency goes together. It is not the road. It is always the driver. It is not the vehicle. It is always the driver's fault, and that is what we are seeing. If you look at the nature of bus accidents in this country, the collision, the recent one, it will say somebody was overtaken. If you, the bus driver, you are driving at a speed of 50, 60 kilometers per hour, and somebody was doing a wrongful overtaking, you must be very sharp to know what to do. You can easily slow down the vehicle and stop it. So it is a major issue. If we don't tackle it, enforcement, education, put them into education. In this country, when we have the issue where a driver is arrested and the court will say, look, I've seized your license, you're not going to drive again. Oh, it's much easier for the driver to go to the nearest police station and collect a police extract and go for another driving license. And that is what is happening now.
Well, it is a sad picture, and like you said, if we don't do the right things, the accidents will keep happening, unfortunately. Especially for those who are bus drivers or who may be part of these companies, the companies that we know, let's try to observe some of these things and save lives. But before we end on today's Drive Safe segment, here is our answer to the "so you think you know" bit. Oh yeah. And there is our answer. Thank you for staying with us on Drive Safe for today with me, Benjamin Akapo. Let's look forward to the next one.
New week. Thank you so much for joining us once again on the AM show. I'm Bernice Abubedu Lansa. Now, Ghana is experiencing a skill gap in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, known as STEM for short. Well, Joy Prime, in partnership with Dream Oval Foundation, Challenge Works, Founder Vine, Mest Africa, and Dex Technology is collaborating to bring you the all-new exciting Ghana Science and Tech Explorer Prize, G-STEP. It's designed to promote STEM education in Ghana. About 50 junior high schools from the northern and southern sectors of the country have qualified to compete and produce technological solutions. Well, this morning I've been joined by project manager at Mest Africa, Toyin Dania. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
And great to have you here this morning.
Thank you for having me.
I get excited whenever we talk about STEM because I think what STEM does is to make science less boring, more practical, not what we saw in school where everybody was running away from these really hard to grab concepts. So just briefly explain to us what this initiative is all about.
Thank you very much. The initiative is to make science a bit more exciting and to really introduce the teachers to some of these new technologies as well so that they can actually support the students. These are junior school students. They need to have an exciting way to get into the sort of careers of the future. And without science, technology and maths, they're not going to have a chance. So it's given them, you know, bite-sized attempts to find practical solutions within their home environment. So we're asking them to come up with prototypes that are from the kitchen to actually make it more practical and to support their knowledge that if they're learning from what's around them, they can continue to build on it. So it's not just in the classroom, it's also at home.
Interesting. So tell us the nature of the challenge. What's the format? How does it work?
It's an amazing challenge. We're in our second year. It's a pilot program. The most important part is accessing the schools, accessing the teachers, accessing the students. Once we have that flow, it's then about supporting them. So they're supported with mentors, they're supported with coaches, and that's what Mest Africa does. We sort out that area. Then we have other partners in the consortium who are offering the other solutions. Dex Technology is offering all of the science kits to help them use the kits that they may have been used to using at school, but making them a little bit more practical with defined areas. We're teaching them about being in groups. We want our girls in those groups, so we've got at least one girl in each of the groups, and we want the boys to sort of support their fellow students they're up with and how they've been working together with the teachers as well.
So in other challenges we've seen, so you'd usually have maybe a school from a certain sector, you know, in the final competition with another school from the southern sector. Is that how this is going to work?
We're trying not to do the north and south divide, but what's really great is the healthy competition. So we have 25 schools from the Accra region and another 25 in the Ashanti region. And they're all coming up with amazing ideas. So we're doing the judging in the southern side. So there's 25 schools that will be judged by our core set of judges, and then we'll have those same judges go up to the Kumasi side. And the only thing that's the same are the judges, but they don't get to see each other.
Okay.
till the final exhibition that we'll be doing in January. But what's great is they know about each other and they're really working well with each other in that healthy competition.
So this challenge is not like what we're used to, where okay, you have 15 minutes to come up with a solution. These kids are actually given projects to work on. They have time to do it. They exhibit, they explain, they run you through what their projects are, what problems they're supposed to solve, and then judgment is made.
Yes, absolutely. And there's a Q&A element as well. So some of the things they weren't able to put into a 5-minute pitch is quite short for them learning. So they've had all this training. They've had pitching training, they've had training on their prototypes, they've had training with mentors to work on their presentation skills and how they communicate and, you know, to give each other a chance. Who's the best communicator? Let them pitch, but everyone else has had a healthy input into the solution.
Right. You mentioned what Mest does, provide mentors, Dex Technology, but tell us about the other partners in this a very wonderful initiative and what they offer.
Thank you. So Dream Oval are the lead partner for this particular project, and they work with challenges all over the country, and they've been our experts. We also have Challenge Works who do this sort of project in the UK, and they've brought that technology here for us to showcase how we can actually impart the same sort of skills but localized.
Right.
And what's really interesting is seeing where some of the challenges are and working together to make them better. That's why this is the pilot. So by the time we get to our next steps, which is year 3, we'll be doing 100 schools.
Wow.
And we're really looking forward to implementing some of the challenges that we've had and the successes, and keeping on board our mentors, because they've really had a wonderful journey as well. And the teachers usually get left behind. So what's really good is they're part of this journey as well. And we're looking forward to gifting the best school and the best teacher.
All right. So there's Joy Prime, there's Founder Vine. What are they also bringing on board?
Founder Vine are part of our core group, and they're bringing on board their expertise within working with projects for young people, especially in schools. So the junior high school elements are where they're bringing us their support. And sorry, you said the...
Joy Prime?
Joy Prime,
It's
yourselves.
giving you,
You're giving us all of this wonderful airtime and really bringing out to the public.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, we need STEM to be really promoted, and you're giving us so much airtime to actually do that. And we're hoping that people watching, especially parents, will really encourage their children to really get into STEM, so that they've got, you know, a chance at those wonderful careers that are coming in the future.
We are really excited to be a part of this, I must say. So what are some of the ideas that are being developed by the kids?
Fantastic question. I'm not to give away too much, but it's about the SDG goals. It's about climate change. It's about pollution. It's about waste. It's about everything that you see around you. How can you practically help your community? So that's what we want, that recognition that it's not some big project out there that you can't fathom. It's a project that's on your doorstep. You've seen that there's a lot of waste. How are you going to deal with it? If you even just organize to have a weekly clean up, that's doing something for your community. But how do you clear it up? So can you do a prototype that actually encourages your community to do that, encourages your school to do that? That's one of the projects. There's quite a lot, but most of them are around sanitation, waste, the environment, all really about those sort of areas.
So what activities have been carried out so far, and what is the next step?
Wow, they've been inducted, which has been giving them a whole idea about what this program is all about. And then they've been given by Dext, you know, the science kit, and to go through the science kit and to look at what science in technology looks like, you know. So they've gone to Cedi University, they've gone to NUST to actually see things in practice. So it's not just this faraway illusion. And what's really great about their enthusiasm is they've taken that back to their ideas and refining them and making them a little bit more tighter, a little bit more firm with the ideas that they're picking up. But they're learning about communication, they're learning about developing their prototypes, and they're learning communication skills so that they can actually communicate and present to us. We want them to have those presentation skills that they'll be using throughout the rest of their lives.
Wonderful. You've given us a hint of what the future looks like, scaling this up to about 100 schools, but what more can you tell us about the future and what the big dream is for the G-STEP program?
The dream is STEM. It's getting STEM into every school. It's getting it into the fabric of families and parents so they understand that their children need to have these skills if they're looking for careers of the future. It's really embodying that it's exciting, it's new, it's developmental. It can go into so many different areas, but the fundamental basics of understanding coding, prototyping, etc., is what the future is going to be all about. So 100 schools, 1,000 schools, million schools, all the schools in Ghana, and then showcasing it to, hopefully, the continent.
I like the idea of the continent. That's the bigger goal, because,
so
you know, Toyin is Nigerian, and just before we came on air, I was talking about the wonderful relationship between Ghana and Nigeria. So taking it across the West African sub-region, even largely to the continent, is a good one. But thank you so much for joining us this morning, and thank you for bringing STEM to the doorstep of a lot of children here in Ghana. We know that these projects are usually not easy to do, and so when organizations put it upon themselves to do this, you just must show appreciation for the efforts they put in. Toyin Dania is project manager, Mist Africa. And this morning we've been talking about the G-Step program. Is there any way people can stay, in contact with you, social media,
yes,
so that they can keep following up on?
Thank you very much for that. They can. I'm just going to give that to you now. So our G-Step program is gstep.org.gh.
Okay. gstep.org.gh.
Yeah, .gh, thank you.
All right, okay. So if you're a parent, a teacher, somebody who helps young people, and you're also interested in STEM, then that is the website to go to, gstep.org.gh. You can follow up. I'm sure there are numbers there. You can contact them, make all the inquiries you need. But you know that STEM is the future. And so starting now will put your child or your community a step ahead. Let me say thank you once again for joining us this morning. Well, right here on the show, we've got a lot more for you. We have a conversation about HIV/AIDS, and that's why I've got that red thing here. And we'll be speaking to the Ghana AIDS Commission. Red Ribbon Month, that's what it is. The statistics are not too exciting, and so it tells you that we need to do a lot of work in that regard. We'll be back to talk about that shortly. Do stay.
In fact, me need to cry. Me washroom now, it piano so today 1 month every week, 2-3 times my friend plumber, who are paying us.
No problem. I'll make sure I solve the WhatsApp for okay. Where's the washroom?
That's your hassle.
They check outside. But they have to change their toilet room. That is the problem. Madam, the problem has been solved. 89. You should fake test toilet room. A very soft, hygienic, organic, acrobatic. Yeah, me I make a volunteers. Have a nice day.
Listen and listen close. Something is happening. Football season has begun. NASCO massive promo has begun. NASCO up to 50% discount is here.
Rico gave me 6,000 cedis for shopping for some electrical appliances.
Yes, what about that?
I came home with exactly what he ordered, and I still had 3,000 Ghana cedis on me.
Wow, but it's only NASCO offering this promotion this season.
Of course, yes, it's NASCO. You think you are the only one who knows NASCO brings home happiness? He's been wondering why I don't ask him for money after the shopping.
That's 50% discount power. This season, a NASCO massive discount. It's NASCO new promo. What are you waiting for? This season, we are offering massive discounts up to 50%. Yes, on selected items from NASCO.
Call 0242 439 437. NASCO, bring home happiness.
Hello, my name is Abeku Agri Santana. If there's anything that makes my life so easy, it is my bank. I love hanging out with my boys at our usual fufu joint. But even without cash, we still dey chop better with EcoBank Mobile. No matter the time of day, my bank helps me stay in touch with my beautiful wife whenever she's away. And when my beautiful wife is in town, she never misses out on her favorite TV shows because I'm able to pay up all my TV subscriptions from the comfort of my mobile phone. Whenever she has to get groceries too, my bank makes it cashless and convenient. And the part my wife loves the most is when my bank makes it possible and easy for her to shop from any part of the world without moving.
Welcome to the smart world of EcoBank. Download EcoBank Mobile from Google Play Store or the App Store and discover the smart way to bank. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Water is life. Water gives life. Water moves through nature in a never-ending cycle. Observe the beauty of water as it flows all around us, refreshing and restoring. Gaze in wonder at the stillness and beauty of nature. There's harmony in nature everywhere around. Water revitalizes the body and keeps you going strong. Water is life. Water gives life. Drink Awake Purified Drinking Water. One for life. So relax and unwind, and in the calmness of nature, find the rest you desire. For every bottle of Awake you buy, an amount to be donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center. This advert.
I'm glad you could stay with us. Let's engage the Ghana AIDS Commission now on its Red Ribbon Month. Like I mentioned, the statistics are worrying. More than 24,000 people have tested positive this year alone, and they include children. What's the Commission doing about it? Well, we will be speaking to the Ghana AIDS Commission. And it's a sponsor of this year's Hits FM Schools Reunion, which is coming off this Saturday. So we'll also be talking about why they've decided to support the schools reunion. Dr. Fred Nanapoku is Director of Technical Services at the Ghana AIDS Commission. Good morning to you, Doc.
Good morning.
Great to have you here.
Yes, good to be here.
Yeah, we've seen the statistics in the papers, we've heard about it on radio. The Commission clearly is worried. Tell us what Red Ribbon Month is about and what you hope to achieve with the activities you've lined up for this month.
Right, thank you very much. Red Ribbon Month is the month of November. And you know, World Day is celebrated on 1st of December. So a month prior to that, we celebrate Red Ribbon Month.
Okay.
And every month of November, we dedicate the time to show solidarity to people who have been affected by HIV, people living with HIV, those who have lost their lives. And then we also rethink, re-strategize, look at how best we can continue, in quotes, the fight against the pandemic. So it is a very good and solemn month. At the same time for re-strategizing and thinking, rethinking, and devising new innovations and strategies to help curb the infection. Right.
So what activities are lined up for the Red Ribbon Month? I know we are way into the month. We have just a few days to end it, but what else should people expect?
Right, so we'll continue our media engagement. It's very critical. I mean, as I was talking to a few of people a couple of days back, they keep saying that we don't hear of HIV in the media. Mm-hmm. So we think that it's high time we really intensify the media activities. Both the mass media, as we are here talking, is part of the entire conglomerate of activities. We engage social media, send messages all across, and all that. So that will be intensified in the month of November. Secondly, we are thinking of having a public lecture. In fact, the public lecture is slated for 26th of November. This is this coming Thursday. We have a public lecture to explain some of the issues to the public and to all. In fact, everybody is invited, including Joy FM and all the media houses are invited to this activity. We also intensify HIV testing services.
Great.
In the various
It's
facilities.
still free, right?
It's still free. Right. It's still free. And luckily, we now even have self-testing, which comes with a little cost. It's like buying a pregnancy test kit and doing that.
So are you? Do we get this from the AIDS Commission, or we can walk into any pharmacy and ask for it?
Currently, we have a few pharmacies and a few social marketing organizations that have them. We're looking at how best to roll out into the entire country and into various pharmacies. But currently, if you get to DKT, you will be able to access some of these self-testing kits. So it is very important that people get to know their status, because when you know your status, whether positive or negative, then you can advise yourself.
Right.
You can go for treatment, which is very effective, highly effective, suppresses the viruses, makes you unable to transmit the virus any longer.
Because the viral load reduces?
Very low, very low. It's like that if you have unprotected sex, in that instance, you will not transmit the virus. you become healthy, and you might not even get to the 8th stage.
Right.
So that these, some time ago when we saw people who are skinny, very ill, with a lot of conditions, on TV and other places, will become a thing of the past. In fact, that is the global agenda, that by the year 2030, we end AIDS.
Right. So for those who may not be aware of this, Doc, just run us through how it works. From the point of having the HIV to AIDS, because someone may not understand that, because we always said, oh, HIV/AIDS. So people think it's just one thing. So just, you know, give us some more explanation on what you mean by that.
So HIV is the virus, and anybody can contract the virus. It's no respecter of person. And when you do contract the virus, you might not show any symptoms or signs. In fact, what you might have is in the first few weeks, maybe about 2 weeks, you just have a febrile illness, like trying to catch up malaria or a very little cold or something. And that is it. And everything just vanishes. And the viruses will be in your body, multiplying, destroying your immune system. And it can take years, 5, 10 years, without medication, and you don't have any other symptoms or signs until the immune system comes so very low to the point where you can no longer fight diseases. Then you catch any kind of illnesses. You have severe diarrhea, you have chest infections, you have skin infections, and then you are getting to the 8th stage. And the 8th stage will have 4 stages: stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and stage 4, right? And the more severe the condition becomes, then you are going to the other side, yes, of the spectrum. So then you have age stage 4. And even you can get what we call some skin cancers, like Kaposi sarcoma and things like that, lymphadenopathy, generalized lymphadenopathy, and many, many more illnesses.
So what treatment does is that it prevents you from getting to the 8th stage, but you still may have the virus, but like you said, it will be reduced to the level where it almost becomes insignificant.
Right. So in your bloodstream, the virus will not be detected when you are on the antiretroviral medication. And then you have some of the viruses in the latent states, like a sleeping bulldog, sort of.
Yeah. Okay.
so
that's a nice description, yeah.
Right. So quite a few might be lacking in some of the cells in this latent state, in the cells in your body. And they are inactive, they are not multiplying, they are not causing much havoc.
Okay.
That is what the antiretroviral does. In that stage, you can detect the viruses in your blood, you can transmit the virus, but you still have some of the viruses in your body in the latent stage, yes.
Right. Doc, so I mean, unfortunately, for some time now, we've seen such a rise in infections, and particularly the Commission has expressed worry about the number of children who seem to be getting infections. Some of them mother-to-child transmissions, they were not aware, and some of the young people are actually acquiring the viruses through their own activities. Do we know what is driving this rise in numbers?
No, you see, basically, though in recent times we have not really looked at the mode of transmission, what is really actually, basically we know that 80% of infections in most parts of the world, including Ghana, is through through sex.
Yeah.
Whether it is anal sex, vaginal sex, or whatever, 80%. So what it really means is that people are having sex, unprotected sex, whether vaginal or anal vaginal. That is it, unprotected sex. And there are so many reasons why people have sex. When people are happy, right? It's a natural phenomenon with human beings to have sex. So when people are happy, they want to have sex. When people are hard-pressed, under stress, especially the men, they want to really have sex. Ladies, sometimes when they are hard-pressed financially, they want to in quotes, sell some sex and get money, whatever they do to really get something.
Right.
So they do transactional sex as a days. So that is the basic underlying factor for increased
So a lot of
HIV.
people are having unprotected sex,
basically. Unprotected sex, and it's like fire. If you have one small bit somewhere, it can catch up the whole entire community or entire...
And is it also the case that these people having unprotected sex also probably have multiple partners, and so that's how the spread is happening? Because if you have two people who have AIDS who are just sticking to themselves, then it wouldn't be spreading
multiple
that much.
concurrent partnerships or serial partnerships. 6 months or 3 months, I'm with this guy, or I'm with this lady. The next 6 months, we break up. I get another one.
Right.
Then you get another one. So serial partnership is equal or tantamount to having multiple partners. Somebody say, well, I don't really engage in multiple concurrent partnerships. I have only one boyfriend. But you ask yourself, in the past few...
In about a year, you have about 3 or 4 boyfriends.
Yes, you've had about 3 or 4, 5, and each one of them you have sex with, and you don't know who the other person had been with. So then it becomes something that is multiplying, and then if there is an infection somewhere, it just keeps spreading from one person to the other. It's just unfortunate. So what we preaching, I don't know, we are not preacher men, but what we're saying is that naturally, there are some people who have a tendency of having sex. I mean, like, it is, their hormones are over the roof, right? We, as a commission, are not religious bodies to
You're not interested in morality. You leave that to the church.
Yes. We basically want to come in, but what we're saying is protect yourself. If you are in that category of person who have a difficult controlling or have a very strong sexual edge and it's always on the, so you just have to protect yourself. How do you do that? Simple, straightforward. Use of condoms consistently and correctly. It is not about today you use, tomorrow you don't use, because you don't know who. It's not written on the forehead of anybody that, hey, this person is HIV positive. And as I said, from the earlier on, you can have HIV
and not show
5, 10 years,
symptoms.
15 years, nothing. So even as I'm sitting, I might be positive, but nobody knows. Unless I go do the test and tell you, or you do the test on me. So we're saying that correct, consistent use of condoms is one of the most effective way of prevention.
There are those who are advocating for free distribution of condoms to young people especially. Is the commission looking at doing that?
That is fine. We do that.
Do you have the funds for that?
We do that. We have program condoms, which are free.
Okay.
And I'm hoping that at the 26th of November, when we have our old school youth reunion, we'll be able to distribute some free condoms. And I mean, distributing to young active couples or young active youth, it's okay. It's good, and we'll be doing that. In fact, we have been doing that, and we'll continue doing that. The only challenge sometimes is the lack of adequate funding for that. So we don't really have the condoms in the system as much as we want. The free condoms, not condoms in general.
Yeah. So there are those that are for sale in pharmacies and other outlets.
Lot of new, innovative design condoms that are ultra thin, studded, right? Flavored, different. In fact, ebony condoms are available. DKT condoms are available. A lot of them. So everybody, please. You have no excuse to not to protect yourself.
All right. So tell us more about your partnership with the Hits FM Schools Reunion. Beyond the possible distribution of free condoms, what else do you want to achieve with this particular partnership?
It's a very wonderful platform. The School Reunion is a very wonderful platform to reach a lot of people, youth, adults. In fact, I'll meet some of my mates. Yes, and I mean you catch up with a few friends as a taste. So we believe that that platform is great, and to send messages across to everybody to protect yourself. I mean, if you can't, just be safe. We will also ensure that there's HIV testing available.
Right.
Free testing will be available, and I'm sure DKT and other social marketing companies will bring along some self-test kits for those who really want it. Commercial condoms, whichever different flavors, chocolate flavor, strawberry, vanilla, everything.
Interesting. Right, Doc. So for those who may want to do the self-testing, because we also know that one of the reasons people shy away from testing is the stigma attached to being HIV positive and the fact that they wouldn't want somebody to know. So once you do the test yourself and you find out that you are positive, what do you do from there?
No. The test kits have information.
Okay.
Great. There is information pack with a test kit. Tell you what to do, who to contact. There's a contact number you can call.
Fantastic.
Talk line and talk to service providers, get counseling, show you where you can even get the ARVs. In fact, there are more than 600.
Are they still free?
Yes, madam. Yes, madam. They are still free, causing a lot of financial burden on the government and our partners. But there's nothing we can do now. But I hope that that is why we are preaching that, we are preaching that people should really protect themselves, because when you're able to protect yourself, you save a lot of money.
And you even, help yourself live longer and not have to deal with sometimes the emotional
the burden
stress
of taking pills every day for the rest of your life. It's not an interesting thing at all. So we encourage people to protect themselves.
Interesting, Doc. So, just run us through again. So, on Saturday, the 26th of November, the school's reunion is happening, but you mentioned that on Thursday, which is the 24th, you'll be having a lecture.
Right.
And
at the International Conference Center
to commemorate Red Ribbon Month.
Right.
Okay, so...
And then we will have the World AIDS Day itself on 1st of December.
Great.
And we will have that at the forecourts of the State House.
Okay, and what exactly, can people also just walk in there and do free testing?
It is open to the public.
Okay.
World AIDS Day is for everybody. We are showing solidarity with people who have been infected. We are preaching about prevention of HIV. We are preaching that if you are positive,
take your drugs.
Take your drugs. Right?
Even if you are praying for a miracle, still take your drugs.
Certainly. If you get malaria, you pray, all right, but you take your anti-malaria. It's a similar situation. And then we are saying that protect yourself. There is the condom. Currently, we have the pre-exposure prophylaxis, which are also medication like taking Daraprim for malaria in pregnancy, or you're traveling to an endemic environment, you take some medicine to protect you from catching malaria. Similarly, there is that for HIV.
But is that
currently with the high we are giving to the high risk groups?
Like which people? Doctors?
No. This is for sex workers, men who have sex with men, discordant couples.
Okay, so this is available. I'm just trying to understand.
Right.
This is what available at the commission or in pharmacies or prescribed by doctors?
It's a program medicine that is being given out.
Okay.
So in some program managers have it.
Okay.
Like civil
society. And it's taken before every intercourse, or?
Right. There's a schedule that we have to take.
Okay.
7 days prior to engaging in a risk behavior.
Okay.
And then you continue. And if you want to stop, I think about 7 days, you take it and then you can stop.
Interesting. Right. Very interesting one there.
Yeah.
Right. So Dr. Fred Anapoku is Director, Technical Services, Ghana AIDS Commission, and we've been talking about the unexciting statistics we are recording, seeing that a few years back, we were on the road to getting to that point where we could have, by now, been recording very minimal infections of HIV and AIDS, but unfortunately the trend changed and it went upward, and now we are seeing such a rise in the number of infections. The good news is that testing is free. It is better to know your status so that you can advise yourself, as Dr. Nana Poku said. It is also good so that if you need any medical interventions, you get it as soon as possible. And you don't have to graduate to the 8th stage where it becomes almost impossible to treat and you are basically just waiting to cross over to the other side. So do take advantage of the Red Ribbon Month. You can visit us at the Hits FM Schools Reunion on Saturday, the 26th of November. The Ghana AIDS Commission will be there offering free testing. Also, treatment is free. So once you test positive, they will help you out. Do you offer counseling services? Because sometimes just the thought of being HIV positive, and I've heard stories. For some people, it's not so much about the disease because we know, like we've been told, that once you're at HIV stage, you treat it, you're fine. It's about the feeling of betrayal because I've heard stories of women who literally break down in the doctor's office because she's been faithful to her partner. She's never had a partner outside her marriage. And so this is almost like, okay, my husband definitely brought this from somewhere. I mean,
I mean,
where is this coming from? I have been faithful. And then the feelings of betrayal, mistrust begin to weigh down on them. How are your counseling services offered?
Right. There is pre-test counseling and then the post-test counseling. These are done in the facilities. The National AIDS Control Program, they have a lot of counselors within the facilities, the ERT centers, the PMTCT centers. And in fact, some persons living with HIV are counselors themselves, and then they do counseling.
Okay.
Yes, because peer counseling, it's a little more effective in most circumstances. So persons living with HIV are counselors. It is done in the facilities. And then we have some individuals who can be reached within our communities. They are persons living with HIV. They have received training, they have received orientation, they know what to say, what not to say, how to support you. And then even the persons living with HIV, the network of persons living with HIV have support groups that give support to people. But I know that most people will initially won't be comfortable joining such support groups and things like that. So we want to, I mean, just be free, call on us. We will link you up with an individual or a group of people that can support you to overcome your stigma. And as you rightly said, sometimes self-stigma even kills more than the disease itself. You blame yourself. You think you have done something wrong or you've not done anything. So why should this happen to me? You move right down into the depression, which could even harm you more than the virus itself. So please come out and then seek counseling from our counseling centers, from the Rich Hospital right here.
Okay.
And there are about 600, 700 facilities that gives ARVs, the antiretroviral drugs, and all scattered all over the country. You don't need to die in isolation. You don't at all.
Life moves on even after HIV infection.
I mean, it's an infection. Actually, it's an infection. I mean, like it's like a common cold, right? Excuse me to say, COVID kills faster. It's more fatal than HIV as it is, right? And we live with it. People live with it. So don't stigmatize yourself. Don't allow anybody to stigmatize, and don't, as an individual, stigmatize people who have HIV, because you might not even know how come they got their infection, whether from mother to child, whether through blood transfusion. You don't know. Even a common accident where people get injured. Okay. And then there are exchange of blood. I mean, like
contact body to body
carrying people to the facilities can lead somebody to get, even when you go to your barber, right? And he doesn't use Sometimes they put the machines in the sterilizer. It's not on. The UV light that is supposed to kill any virus. It's not on, but he just
pulls it out
as if it's really under sterilization. So, and you don't know how come somebody had it, maybe through blood transfusion. So, in fact, there is no basis.
Yeah. Just don't judge people.
There's no basis for it. A single act, you might be the saint of whatever, right?
And you can still get AIDS.
And then you can still get it either through your mother, or even a single act that you had with somebody you thought was a very good friend who looks innocent like myself.
Who was a saint like you? Two saints.
Right?
Yeah.
Can land you in having the virus. Yeah. So, I mean, no basis.
Yeah. All right. So basically what we are saying this morning is get tested, do not stigmatize against people living with HIV, and please get treatment when you find out that you're positive or a person living with HIV. Also protect yourself. Like Doc says, if you cannot control your sexual drive, just protect yourself. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And we'll be following up on your activities with the Hits FM Schools reunion and also your lecture, which is coming off on Thursday. Dr. Fred Danapuku is Director, Technical Services, Ghana AIDS Commission, and we've been talking about Red Ribbon Month. Now, the Planting for Food and Jobs Market, I'm sure by now you know about that. It started at the ministries, moved on, and now it's at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle. We'll be bringing you more on this shortly. Do stay.
Powered by Hits 103.9 FM.
Let's go! Atom! Jim! Reloaded! No problem! Are you ready? Reloaded! Are you ready? Jim! 1, 2, 3, let's go! Rasta flow, Rasta flow.